Thus far, we're creating components with view component here. This means in our app, we're using it with the selector and we're adding them. Now, if I create a second app, and therefore I create a second view instance down there, app2. Now, if I hit enter, well, we see it 4 times because our second app here also now uses the same component. What if we wanted to register different components globally and locally? So we want to use the same selector maybe, but use different components in the end. We can do this. To do this, I'll do a little change here. I don't call a view component, which registers it globally. Instead, now I want to store this as a variable. So to do so, I will say var component equals, and now this equals just the object configuring the component. So the selector is gone. Now in my view instance, I can now execute, or I can add a new property components, which basically tells this instance which local components do you have. So components only usable in this instance here. Well, and here I want to set up my selector. This is now completely freely choosable by myself, my component, for example, and I will refer to my component data variable up there. Now I set up a local component, and if I hit Control Enter, therefore, the app breaks, which happens because I need to remove this unnecessary parentheses here coming from the component function. But if I now hit Enter again, we only see the service status in the first app, because in the second, where I also use my component, it's not registered. We only registered it here on the first view instance with the component's property. On the second, we don't have that, so my component is not recognized there. And this is how we can register it locally. We could now also register it on the second one, also use a different selector there by simply setting up a different selector. But if you want to do that, this is how to do it. If you want to use a global component instead, well, then you need view component, this method where you have your selector first, my component, and then your component object. These are the 2 different ways of registering it globally with view component or locally with the component's property in a view instance. And with that, now it's really time to leave JS Fiddle and work on these single file templates I explained before to see how we can use them in conjunction with components. See you there.